That's the crux of the matter, when everything else is said and done. Tom?
When we maintain that the poor are with us always, does that apply to, well, of course it applies to the local church and maybe the denomination. Does that have a greater outreach than just that? Could it apply possibly to the community or to the church capital? My point is that if you had a local congregation that maybe didn't have too many poor, could it be said that they should look beyond their own local church?
That's a nice question. You want to add it to the list, or is it on the list?
I don't care. You can address it later if it's. Can I
think it's on the list.
Okay.
The answer to your question is that as far as the words of Jesus are concerned, this is briefly it. He refers here to the church. The church, my church, will always have poor in her midst. That's what he means, my church. Now, that doesn't mean only a local congregation, of course, and it doesn't mean only a denomination. It means his church, wherever that church is manifested. I don't want to leave the impression, I think we ought to discuss this a little more because there's some practical questions involved, but I don't want to leave the impression that when a local congregation for a spell does not have any immediate use for its benevolent fund, that they must not conclude from that, oh, Christ is not any longer present among us. Mustn't do that. It can be that one local congregation for a time does not have any poor. But if under those circumstances the office of deacon ceases to function, then Christ isn't present insofar as he functions through that office. And then, although Christ refers here to the church, you do have, of course, Galatians 6:10. And we ought to talk about that too. Anyone else? Yes, Bruce.
So your explanation then of Christ being in the church through the work and functioning of the office of deacon, and you would definitely say then, as far as the one of the marks of the true church is the pure preaching of the word, and you would say that it's not only the responsibility of the pastor and the elder, but also as the deacon to bring the word as far as that the mark of the true church, to make sure that that church is on the right path. And also that follows through to the office of all believers, that it's all of the church's responsibility to make sure that those marks are being done. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I really appreciate you bringing that up too. That's why one of the qualifications for the office of deacon is, according to 1 Timothy 3, that a deacon must hold the mystery of the faith in a pure conscience. You're absolutely correct. It is just as crucial, let me put it very, very concretely, it is just as crucial that the deacons bring the gospel of sovereign, particular, unmerited grace as it is for the minister to do it on the pulpit and the elders to do it in their work of government.
You know, that's an awesome responsibility.
You bet.
We don't always think of it that way. We always think, well, it's the pastor's responsibility and elders. We think sometimes deacons are, like you said, somewhat of a lower office, but that's not true.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you bringing that up. I think that that not only what you say is absolutely correct, but must indeed be underscored. Yeah? You can put it the other way, heresy can creep in the church through the office of deacons too. Better believe it. John.
Well, I just wanted you to follow that line of thought there too a little bit farther. And you said that if the presence of Christ, or if the office of the deacon did not function as it should, then the presence of Christ would not be made manifest through that office. And then also the other offices of minister and elder could not function properly also, and that they would, the presence of Christ would not be there either. Could you explain that a little bit more, why those two would fall apart if the office of deacon was not carried out as it should be?
Yeah. Probably I should do that because the way you phrased it is not really quite the way I meant it. And I may have left the wrong impression, so maybe it's a good thing if I say just a bit more about that. Because the three special offices in the church, this shouldn't be standing in my head. Because the special offices in the church are really organically one, you can never separate the offices from each other. They're one in Christ, and they're one in the office of believers. And therefore, they never function in the church independently of each other. The functioning of one will inevitably affect the functioning of another office because of their organic unity in Christ and in the church. And the result of it is that whatever happens for bad in one office will inevitably have its consequences in the other offices. The relationship is reciprocal. I don't mean to say only a defect here will create defects here and here, but vice versa as well. A defect here will affect these two, or a defect here will affect these two, because they're basically one, having their union, as we said last time, in that one office of prophet which they share. If a minister from the pulpit begins to preach false doctrine, I shouldn't use that expression, it's inevitable that the consequences of that sooner or later are going to be felt in the rule and government of the church and in the functioning of the office of deacon. If the elders fail to perform Christian discipline according to the command of Christ, inevitably that's going to have its effect here and here. You can see that by thinking about that for a moment. The same thing is true of the deacons. If the deacons do not function according to the command of Christ, sooner or later it's going to affect these two offices too. That's what I mean. Is that a little bit clear? Okay. Anyone else? Okay, our time's up. It's too bad, but there isn't much more I want to say. I'll have to say it next time. Tell you what I want to say yet. I want to emphasize, first of all, that The work of deacons has to do with the care of the poor. And that exclusively, I think a few things ought to be said about that. I want to say in the second place, and that to me is so important, that the unique work of the office of deacons is to reflect Christ as the merciful high priest. The office of deacons is the office of mercy. Now, we say that time and time again. I want to say a few things about what that means, that the office of deacons is the office of mercy. And then in the third place, I want to say just a little bit about the relationship between the office of believers and the office of deacons. What's the relationship between the two? And from that, how does the office of deacons differ from the office of believers? So those are the three things I want briefly to talk about yet. It won't take so long. So let's see, we'll probably get to those questions next time. I propose, if anyone has a better idea, but I propose that we discuss the questions under B first of all. Questions concerning the relationship of the deacons to the congregation and the church. Then I propose that when we finish discussing those questions, and those questions are divided into two groups in relation to the church and in relation to the congregation, that we go to C and discuss the relation of the deacons to the poor, which has to do precisely with the essence of their work. And we have a large number of questions under that. And probably in our discussion of C, we're going to get into the questions under A somewhat automatically about the whole problem of the government. So will you figure on starting with B? Jim, did you have something?
Yes, last week we had an amount of reading that we had to do before it's booked up. For the coming week, is there anything you want to prepare for that will relate to this B and C?
I wish that there were some good works in English that I could refer you to. I do know that there are some articles in old Standard Bearers on this. If you have access to old Standard Bearers and access to the Standard Bearer Index, you will find some articles on that. There's been some debates even in the Standard Bearer on some of these questions. So you might, I don't have the references right now, but I know there's been some of that. Otherwise, I would suggest that you read the pertinent article in the Church Order, Article 25, and then look up some Church Order authorities on that. Van Dullen and Monsma in particular. I've been thinking seriously of asking my father to translate this work by Bauman for the deacons. I think that's much better than The Ministry of Mercy by P.Y. DeYoung. That's not a bad book. I don't mean to say anything derogatory about it, but this is it, I tell you. So maybe I can persuade my father to translate this. I don't know. Would be worthwhile for you anyway. But this is a good book, though, and if you have it, the trouble is it's out of print, but if you have it, there's material in here on that question that you can read with profit. Okay. Let's Gary, would you close with prayer for us tonight? You want to sing? Want to sing a song? Let's see. One that's fairly well known. Let's sing one. You all know one. That man is blessed through fearing God. Jim, will you play for us? Let's sing 1, 2, and 5. The verses go like this. The first is, that man is blessed through fearing God. The second verse is, yea, blessed is he who makes God's law his portion and delight. And the final verse is, the Lord will guard the righteous well, their way to him is known. Those three verses.
That thou wilt ever be with us, that we might be diligent in making use of this office. We know from thy word that poor are always with us, and we always see that as a blessing from thee, that thy word might ever speak, bring unto us comfort. Wilt thou keep sin from us, from this office, that we might be faithful and diligent, and that we might ever experience thy blessing on our church. All this we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
You playing that thing back now? Oh, you're just taking pictures of guys leaving. Oh, I see. Okay. Well, you got who works here, don't you? Video, you mean, or tape? The word goes on cassette. How many videos do you have? Are you going to send them to the church? That's the idea? And you request. What's that? Yeah, right, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm getting all the stuff.
Yeah, right, yeah. They're going to make it known, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, good. Yeah, just that reminds me, you still working there?
Oh.
Yeah? How's it going? Good. Joe's out, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever talk to Gary Sharpton?
No. Bill?
I think so. He was in charge of
Hi, Warren. Hi, Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Mr. Dropoff?
He was in charge of the song.
Well, I said that, I
I got his job.
Oh, you do? No kidding. Well,
You
yeah.
still there? Yeah, doing the
Oh,
same
yeah,
thing?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We gotta get together some night.
I know it. I don't hear no word anymore, but we're in Granville. It's even closer now.
I heard that you'd moved. I didn't know
Yeah,
where,
right.
but yeah.
I'll tell them to
Great.
give you a jingle, okay?
Yeah, sounds
You
great.
bet. All right, oh yeah, your boy, no problems?
Every other weekend he's here, but
Okay.
we'll work it out.
Just come for dinner or just to visit at night?
Whatever you choose.
Okay.
Either way, it's fine.
All right, good.
I've always enjoyed it, yeah.
Yeah, right, okay, cool, same here.
Could I have that sheet and copy that, those articles for the group? Boy, that'd be great.
Well, let's ask Steve here.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Bruce has a lot of it here.